Okay, continuing on the Sicamous. We used to make corncob pipes there. We actually made them. And I remember when people used to smoke in school. I did it too. We used to sneak out at lunchtime and go down into this bush. There was a big part of the Sicamous was all bush just down from the school, which is all, the pub is there now, and the post office and all kinds of stuff, and a motel. But there used to be trails all through the bush. We used to go in there and smoke. And I got the ruler once for that in school, not the strap. It took me in and gave me the ruler over the hands. And then another thing is when we lived in that old house, was it McLaren's house? I can't remember the guy's name. I used to sleepwalk or something when I was a kid. One time in Nelson, I got up in the middle of the night, and I thought I was going to the bathroom, I guess. And I went out the hallway and peed down the stairs, because we were on the second floor. Peed down the stairs, and then I went and got in the spare bed in Donna's room. I don't know what I was thinking about. And I did that again in Sicamous. And when we lived in that old first house, McLaren's, that Mom heard this hissing noise. She said, well, what the heck's that? And I'd got up and walked through their bedroom, out into the kitchen, got a chair, stood up. I guess, I don't know if I probably, if I took the lid off the stove, but I was peeing in the stove on the top, and there was steam coming out all over the place. Gee. Anyway, okay, let's see. The Lily Patch was another place we used to hike up to there. That's across the channel. And there was a really nice little bald spot on that mountain. There's a development up there now. I don't know what it is, but it was really neat up there. It was like a little meadow. And we used to go up there, and there was wild lilies up there. That's why they called it the Lily Patch. And, I remember, another thing, when we used to dive over off the pillars in the wharf over by the CPR hotel, we used to, this guy came from out of town. We used to see how good we could dive, that was like, I was a really good diver and swimmer, and we used to try to see how long we could hold our breath and go down and, explore. I still swim a lot with a mask, and we used to go down and swim around the bottom and look for stuff, and I actually found a piece of the CPR hotel plate a couple of years ago when I went up there, but we didn't think to look for things like that. We should have looked back then, but this guy came to town. He taught me this dive called the suicide dive, which is really neat. So you get up on top of the pole, and you make your hands into fists, and you put them straight down by your side, and you stand straight as a board up. And then you launch yourself out flat like you were going to do a swan dive, only you have your hands, your fists are in front of you, like over your head to make a V. So you're flat in the air with your hands straight out above not above your head, but straight out ahead, like parallel, with your fists done and your legs. And then you once you're out in the air like that, you launch yourself, you bring your arms down and your legs down into a V. So you're like a flying V going down. So you hit the water with your feet and your fists in a V. It breaks the fall so your head doesn't get hurt by the water. And it makes a big splash called the suicide dive. It looks like you're going to kill yourself, but you didn't. And then we used to have these little sock hops when we were about 12 years old. I don't know, they had them at this little, there used to be a little hall down where the fire hall is now. I don't know what it was. It was a little, we used to have little dances in there, and get to dance with the girls. I remember they had these Angora sweaters or whatever they are back then. Oh my God. And then we used to go out to, Cindy Fell was an old girlfriend of mine. They lived out at Craigellachie or Craiglachie, where the last spike was driven. There used to be big runs of, we call them kickaninnies, I guess they're kokanees or something, up there. You could see these fish laying all over the beach by the time they got up there. But we used to have sock hops up there. She used to sort of be my girlfriend and a little bit. And then there was another one, I can't remember. She was kind of a fat little one. I sort of messed around with her too for a bit. Gee, I can't remember her name now. Anyway, and then there was Arlene Beswick, who was sort of a friend of mine. She was my first you-know-what. We used to neck a lot and stuff like that, but she used to babysit, I think. She unfortunately died later on. And let's see now. Swimming. We used to swim across Mara Lake sometimes. Mother would be horrified. And my first job when I was Sicamous, when I was 12, I got a job when they built the new car bridge through Sicamous. At first, before they had the Trans-Canada Highway, they used to have the old car bridge, which was a wooden bridge. And we used to dive off of that bridge. We didn't dive off it. I never dove off it. We jumped off it, though. It was quite high. We used to jump off the train bridge, though, but the old wooden bridge in Sicamous, it was the first bridge, and it was an old gravel road to Salmon Arm back then, and I even remember going on a trip down the Fraser Canyon once. I don't know what year that would be, but it was still gravel and all switchbacks and everything. I don't know. I think it must have gone with my grandparents or something. I can't really remember that trip because the first trip I remember to Vancouver is when me and Jimmy Johnson, what's his name? He owns the boat marina up there. He always had hot rod cars. We went down in his 50 Ford convertible once. Me and I think Lynn Swallow was my girlfriend, and his girlfriend Annalie Vernon. We went down to Vancouver once on a trip in his car. That's the first time I ever heard that song, Deep Purple, by April Stevens, Nino Temple. I love that song. Anyway, my first job was working on the train bridge, and I got $2.09 an hour, which was big money, because it's Gem Cafe. I made $2 a week for every day. And then I had a job standing on the cement machine, and all I had to do is operate a few levers and then put some oil in with the cement. And these guys would come in these little buggy things that had a bucket on the front that you dump the cement into, and then they'd take off up the bridge and dump it into the pilings where they were making the pilings for the bridge. And then I got double time, $2.09 an hour, but I remember this guy got me to lift a big log one day with him, and it hurt my back, and it still hurts. And we used to go on these bus trips when we were kids, too, that were like for basketball games and volleyball games. We'd go to sometimes even to Lumbee and Vernon and everything. The bus was like where you get to neck with the girls. And there used to be the neckers in the back, and then the jokers and stuff in the middle, and the kind of the nerds in the front, I guess. Everybody would be, the passion pit was in the back, everybody would be necking. Same as the drive-in Sicamous. Used to have the back row, and all these guys with their girlfriends, their heads would disappear for most of the movie. They'd be laying on the back seat, going at it or something, necking and playing around. And then the middle was all the drinkers. The people in the front actually watched the movie. Everybody used to drink back then in their cars and smoke. And, it was like one big party going there. And anyway, let's see what else can I think of. Okay, I'm taking another break.